Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning into another Supatease video. And there's a lot of hotfix patch changes coming into PvP tomorrow, and I wanted to keep you guys all up to date in terms of what's looking strong in PvP and what are the positions of the specializations and what's my prediction for them, given all of the changes that are coming in. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with patch note changes as well as tier list videos and guides, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. I appreciate your support in my journey and long-term goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers. But let's get started. We got a lot of specializations to rank and talk about. To begin with, I'm not going to be ranking the tank specializations. Some of them are viable, but I feel like it ends up skewing like the overall list to rank them. Frost Death Knight, we are not seeing really any significant changes for you moving into this patch. It seems like they're waiting until 10.1.5 to be able to really give you anything. Now, you are, probably B tier, I would say at best, maybe C tier. The main reason for this is that you've got like one composition. The Devastation Evoker Frost Death Knight composition is actually pretty strong at being able to one-shot things, and you have enough burst damage to be able to win games and matches. So I don't think it's like all hope is lost, but in terms of tankiness, you're definitely inferior to a lot of the better specializations, and sustained damage is non-existent, and you're pretty limited on comps. Unholy Death Knight, you have no burst damage compared to Frost. You've got the same poopy defense, and the game is just not about sustained damage. Even with the 5% intellect, strength, and agility nerf or main stat nerf on the trinkets to DPS, I don't feel like that's going to help you that much. I think that a lot of the other classes are just tankier and can outburst you. Unholy, maybe it's not like totally atrocious. It's pretty close. It's pretty close to being down onto the D tier. But it's definitely fallen off hard. Again, it seems like we're going to have to wait till 10.1.5 to really see significant change. Now, Demon Hunter, you're getting compensated quite a lot in terms of damage. Main problems for you are just dying and stuns. Maybe the possibility that is a little bit lower with the nerfs to Subtlety Rogue. I'm thinking unlikely for Subtlety Rogue, but with the main stat nerfs, it might be all right for you. I'm thinking you'll probably end up in about like an A tier position. And this is kind of like PvP as a whole, mostly thinking about 3v3, ranked 3v3, a little bit of solo shuffle take into account, but your damage is going to definitely be pretty high with the changes coming through for you with the buffs towards a significant portion of your abilities. And you already have a well-rounded kit, but I think you're still going to have the same problems of dying and stuns, and that's what's preventing you from getting up into the S tier. Vengeance Demon will rank later. Balanced Druid. Honestly, you're getting kind of like a slap on the wrist in terms of nerfs for this patch. Like your clones are going to be a little bit longer, but it's not really that big of a deal. Solar Beam being nerfed to 6 seconds is not really that big of a deal either. I'm not sure if I want to put this on S or if I want to put it on A. I think that it probably is S tier, even with the changes to the nerfs or changes to Cyclone. It's probably still S tier. You're decently tanky if you can pre-shape shift into bear, but it requires a lot more attention than a few other classes in the A tier in terms of being able to survive. But your damage output is just really strong, and Cyclone is still really strong. And I think those alone kind of hold you in the S tier. And if you play well with bear form, you can be durable. Feral Druid, you're probably coming in at A tier. 3% damage increase is not really too big of a impact on you. Just you got like Jungle Cleave, and that's about it. Your survivability is a little bit more limited. Nothing spectacular about this specialization. Resto Druid, I think you guys are going in the dumpster. We're going in the D for dumpster. With Verdant Infusion being nerfed and not being able to extend your Cenarian Ward for very long, I don't know. I don't see this spec surviving. This is a harsh prediction, but I think it's an accurate, harsh prediction. Devastation Evoker, you're really similar to Frost DK. You either 100-0 people or you don't, and you're pretty squishy. You're more squishy than Frost DK, honestly. So surviving at Subtlety Rogue is going to be really impossible. With how high you can randomly crit, you can still win games. So you're still coming in kind of like middle of the pack. Preservation Evoker is probably the best healer after all of these changes. With what we're seeing to Resto Shaman, I think Resto Shaman's probably going to fall off pretty hard. It just does so much damage, so much healing, decent mana return. Really good healer. Weaknesses are Subtlety Rogue, but they're nerfing their burst a little bit and nerfing the main stat a little bit, so it's possible that you won't be getting bursted as heavily by Subtlety Rogue, but I think it's still fair to say it's S tier. Beast Mastery Hunter, I think this is A tier. You're just doing monstrous amounts of damage. Really easy to do damage. You're a little bit on the squishier side. But even with that, with good kiting and avoidance, you can definitely still survive and win matches. I think that the specialization is like a bit underrated. I think like Shadow Priest Hunter, for example, is a comp that I've seen a few times. Is still really good and really competitive. Survival Hunter, you're also probably A tier. The disarm talent and all the utility that you have is really good. The set bonuses for you do a lot of damage. Again, main weakness between getting from A to S is defense in a lot of cases for this, but the damage output is really good on both these specializations. Marksmanship Hunter, you're honestly getting buffed pretty significantly in terms of damage, and I've seen more and more of them recently, and they're getting like 200k back-to-back crits over and over. So for me, you're kind of in the B tier category with Devastation, where you're kind of stationary, easy to exploit, but whenever you actually do get to free cast, you absolutely destroy people, and I'm thinking that you're going to be doing that continuously, but its stationary nature, I think, does make it a bit worse. Now, if you're in a coordinated team, maybe with a Subtlety Rogue or something like that, it could be really nasty, but other than that, I think it's going to be, having some significant drawbacks. Fire Mage, I think this is S tier. This class just does the highest damage in the game if you're not able to get on top of it in a lot of cases. Squishy, definitely squishy, but with good alter times, good positioning, and good movement around the map, and if you get a Subtlety Rogue in your team, like, you're absolutely a monster. Specialization is a monster. Arcane, this is a hard one because, it pops up. It does really insane burst damage with Arcane Surge, like decent mobility. I want to say its survivability is better than the 3 specs here. I want to say it's either A or B, but yeah, I think it's definitely, there's some merit to say that it's A tier. You can play with casters, you can play with melee. It's a little bit harder to succeed, a little less popular, for sure. So like, you're very similar in identity to these specs is the main reason. Like the one shot from Evoker, one shot from Frosty K, one shot from Hunter, one shot from Arcane, not really that impactful outside of it. So maybe B is fine. Frost Mage, I almost never see the spec anymore. It's literally like almost completely disappeared from the game. And I think it's just because Frost is insane to melee DPS, and melee DPS aren't popular. So probably until the precog changes in 10.1.5, it's not really going to advance too much. For me, it's kind of just mid. I think that you could still make it work, but you get wizard lobbies, it's pretty tough to succeed. If you RNG good in melee lobbies, you can do well, or melee cleaves and 3s, you can do well. But yeah. Mistweaver Monk, you're getting enveloping mist buffs for some reason. I don't really understand why. I don't know if I should put you on A or S. I think that we saw it in the tournament. You get out-mana'd by a lot of other healers, which can be tough, and you're more easily crowd controlled. So I think it's probably the reason why I want to put it on A instead of S. And you basically have no damage output. So I think it's fair to say it's like a tier lower than other healers in the S tier. Windwalker Monk, defensively, it is not there. You're getting run over by Subtlety Rogues. Probably still going to be the case, honestly, for you defensively. You do all right damage. It's just a matter of like you can't stay in the fight really long enough to get anything going. So like you've got the one-shot nature of all these specs in the B tier, and the defense inferiority, but your sustained damage is worse than these classes, which I think puts you in a bit of a worse position. Is it really that much worse sustained though? Windwalker is a tough one to rank, honestly, because I think it's better than these specs. So maybe here, but Subtlety Rogue just makes it feel impossible to play. Holy Paladin, dumpster. I don't think we're going to be seeing this spec really come back until like 10.1.5, and then maybe it's S tier, but right now it's like you faster, you die, you're just not providing too much, honestly, as Holy. Retribution Paladin, this is definitely an A tier specialization, still really durable, still see it topping the damage meters, can still support the team pretty effectively, and it can deal with rogues, honestly, a lot better than a lot of other classes can. So yeah, I think A tier is fair for Ret Paladin. We'll organize this like best in the tier from left to right at the end of the video. Discipline Priest, you're probably A tier. I think you're still going to have mana problems. That's the main thing I think that will prevent you from being S tier, because you are getting damage buffs and atonement healing buffs, but you don't really have a lot of time to squeeze damage in, and your mana is still really bad. So I think that holds you back from being S tier. Holy Priest, I've been under-ranking this, honestly. I think this healer is actually pretty good. I don't know why people aren't attacking it more. I think if you attack a Holy Priest, it actually is pretty weak. People just forgot that, I guess. Like, that used to be the thing, was just train the Holy Priest. People stopped doing it when the Res Legendary was in the game, and that's not in the game anymore. So I think it's probably A tier. Honestly, the healer balance is really good. Like, it's very close to parity, for ignoring these two, right? These guys are done. Shadow Priest, I should have made it in the Omega S tier, honestly, because Shadow should be on the Omega S. Shadow is like the best spec in the game, I think. It's absolutely crazy. You just cannot die on this class. It is so durable, and it's getting single target damage buffs. It's going to be a monster. Assassination. This is actually a really hard one, because I definitely think it's not terrible, but maybe not amazing. Again, defensively, it's way weaker than subtlety because it doesn't have all the cooldown reduction interactions. So maybe B, but I feel like it's better than B. Like, I feel like it's a little better than B. It's got to be like comparable to Windwalker. It's got to be comparable. I should have like a tier that's in between, if anybody's wondering. But and now Subtlety Rogue, still God tier. There's no way that minor nerf is going to really have too much of an impact. You're just going to be a little bit more dependent on your teammates. Boomkins, Shadow Priests, and Fire Mages that can pick up the damage that you got taken away from you pretty easily, I think. Outlaw Rogue, dumpster tier. Don't even see it. I've seen people talking about that, have tried to play it, and that it's like the most difficult thing ever to be able to succeed on. It's just not there. It's not there. Ellie Shaman, you're probably A. I want to say S, but I think defensively you're weak, and like Rogue Mage can be really hard. Rogue Moon can be really hard. In Wizard Mirrors, you kind of just dominate though. So if you're really good at like pre-burrowing, setting up your trinket walls, rotating your cooldowns, it can still be really effective. Is it an S tier class? It's pretty close. Like, again, I think maybe I should have had a few more tiers. It's pretty close. Enhancement, I've been seeing a lot of Doomwinds one-shots and I've been wondering, like, why is nobody playing this? Like, why is no one playing Enhancement in the tournament? I swear, like, Enhancement Rogue could be absolutely insane. Like, the one-shot damage that you do on this class just absolutely erases people. It's still respectably durable, has a good amount of off-healing. Oh, I do suppose we should take into account Healing Stream nerf and Earthshield nerf. So maybe Ellie's not S. It definitely should have been an S before, because the healing output was actually crazy. But the same thing's happening to Enhancement. Less impactful because you use Chain Heal instead of Healing Surge. But the Healing Stream nerf is definitely going to hit you. I think this is A tier. I think I need another tier. I need like a tier in between the tiers, because I think Windwalker and Assassin should be on their own tier in between A and B. And then we should have like another tier above S. Resto Shaman, I think you're not going to be too good. They're nerfing your mana, they're nerfing your Healing Stream, and they're nerfing your Earth Shield. And those are all the things that made you good. And then casted healing means you're more susceptible to being interrupted, more susceptible to being trained. So I actually do think Resto Shaman could fall off a little bit. I'm putting it lower than the other healers, which is maybe a bit, staggering to some people, but I think those nerfs to Healing Stream and Earthshield are going to be really felt, and having to cast more and getting interrupted is going to be, much more problematic for you. Affliction, I underrate this in Solo Shuffle a lot. It's actually really good in Solo Shuffle. Ranked 3s, it's really good in Wizard matchups. I think it's a lot better. Is it B or A? Again, I should have had another tier, man. I should have had another tier in between A and B. We should have B+. Demonology Warlock with the Soul Link nerf. I guess with the healing nerf to Coil, maybe it's a little weaker, but Demonology with the Soul Link nerf, still got so much annoying crowd control. And Tyrant is still going to slap. Is it really not S tier? That the Soul Link changes? Is it dead? Is Demo dead? Demo was almost always the target for most games because it already wasn't as tanky as Shadow Priest. And now it's even less tanky. It's probably A still, though. I can't see it falling off that hard. Maybe it's close. It's close. It's either an A or a B. That's a tough one to predict. Destro, you've got to be A. Am I really putting Destro and Affliction on the same tier? I need another tier, man. I need another tier. Can I add a tier? Is that a thing? Can I add a tier? Oh my god, we can, dude. We can add a tier. Add a row below. Okay. Nice, dude. All right, here we go. We can do this live. We can do this in real time, guys. All right, B+ tier. We'll put the Windwalker here. We'll put the Assassination Rogue here. We'll put the Affliction Lock here. And then should we make like a tier? We should make a tier above this one, right? Because I think there's a a good reason to. We put God. All right, God. There we go. That's a little better. I think that makes a little more sense. And then demonology. Ooh, okay, so let's think about this a little bit more. Discipline priest should be B plus. Okay, no. We're good with this. We're good. It's Destro. I think it's still probably A tier. It's still got decent damage. Survivability is weaker. Maybe it's B plus. There's no way it's B plus. I think Rogue Destro is great. It's good in caster comps. I think Destro is probably still going to be fine. Even coil nerf might be felt. Arms Warrior, it's definitely getting better, you know, but I think it's probably still A tier. Fury Warrior also, I think, is probably A tier. And then the tank specs. Tank specs like Vengeance is honestly probably B. I actually think Vengeance could be B tier. And then every other tank is like D, and we're not really going to rank them. So let's just take a second look at this at the end of all of this. All right, God tier, I think, is still Shadow Priest Rogue for sure. S tier, Boomkin Fire Mage Preservation Evoker. Ellie Shaman A tier. Demo is a tough one. It could be here. I'm not sure. Inter survivability could be a little bit lower. Demon Hunter could be honestly up here, maybe a little bit higher. And Destro also could be maybe a little bit lower. Warrior, I think, is honestly in a pretty good position. Like this is like a solid spot to be A tier. You can make things work, but you're a little bit behind every other class. Maybe we need like an A plus to put Ellie in. Is all I'm thinking about. Maybe Enhance is. There's no way. I swear Enhance is just under. Maybe Feral is B plus. I think Feral being B. Okay, so let's organize this from like best to worst in the tier. That's the next step that we need to do with melee ranged and healer to make sure that everything is kind of like making sense. Okay, Beast Mastery Hunter, Enhanced Shaman is probably better than Warrior specs. I don't know if Survival's probably better than Warrior specs. Mistweaver, the best healer on the A tier. Okay, Boomkin, Fire Mage, they're really close. These ones are hard to put against each other. Devastation is probably better than MM. I think Arcane's probably better than Devastation though, and Frost is probably better than Devastation. Okay, so from left to right, right? These are like God tier, S tier, best of the A tier. Moving from left to right. Maybe this one's a little. This one's close. And then Rat, DH, Enhance, Survival, Arms, Fury. The Warriors are tough. This is tough to rank them like this. I think these healers is right. Maybe Holy's better than Disc. I think the mana is still a big problem for both of them. Mistweaver is definitely better than them. Okay, I think I'm good with this. I think I can live with this as like the official prediction for where the specializations are going to kind of reside and how they're going to feel competitively. Maybe Arcane is up here, B plus. Maybe even Frost up here, B plus. A little bit lower than these guys, but I don't think you're Frost DK. I think you're better than a Frost DK. And then again, Resto Shaman is probably not down here with the Frost DK either. Okay. Now we can settle in on like where the specializations are currently going to be moving into the next patch. You can see that it's very close. There's a lot of classes on A tier that feel really strong. I think the highest levels of competitive play, these ones kind of get another slice above due to the kit that they got, the synergy they've got with each other, and most importantly, their durability. The main reason these guys are god classes is because they can't die. They just can't die. Shadow Priest and Subtlety Rogue in the hands of good players are the most impossible specs to kill in the game. Boomkin and Fire Mage that's the main reason they're not in God tier, is that they're not impossible to be able to take down. That's the main difference between this tier and then like the rest. That's what makes you God, to clarify. But there we go. We got it. We got the list. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and the discussion. And this helps you think about like where your specializations are going to move into this patch, or what you should be looking at playing, or what you're interested in playing or picking up and playing with. Other than that, thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.